I started working at the museum. I realized that I was done working in the classroom environment, but still wanted to work in early childhood education. And I wanted something that was going to be a mix of working with children and also planning really fun experiences for children. And so I chose to apply for a job here, and I've been here for about 3 years now.
So I started working at Kohl Children's Museum because my background is in early childhood education, and I did a lot of work, research work, teacher training work about child development and how children learn best, but I didn't really get to see children that much in action. And so this is great because I get the best of both worlds.
When I walk out on the floor and I see just the amazement and the joy and the fun that the children are having, and seeing their faces light up when they have those aha moments of how something works, it's like I'm reliving experiences I never had. It's giving me a chance to say, this is what I would have loved as a kid, and this would have made such a difference for making me an adventurer, making me a writer, making me a builder. All these kids are having that experience, that chance to try things and use their imaginations in a place where they have the tools to do so.
I think that play and learning together is something that a lot of adults undervalue, and here at the museum, that's what's most important to us. I think all of the ways that we figure out provocations and ways that children can explore those two concepts together provide such a unique space for kids to really be kids while they're learning such fundamental skills too.
There are so many examples of kids just having a great time at the museum, but actually one of my favorites was we did an international program with the only children's museum in South Africa. And so we were there doing art programming with some South African artists, and there was a little boy that was afraid. And he was afraid to touch the paint. He didn't want to do anything. So I got to spend a lot of time just sitting down with him and chatting about what he liked to do. And then I found out his favorite color was red. And so I got to introduce him by saying, let's go just look at the red. Let's look at the red paint for a while. And so we were able to do that. And then I was like, why don't we put a little bit on the paper? And so he did that. And by the end, he had his own little masterpiece. And he was so proud of it. And he ran up to his dad and showed it to him. It's those moments that we love the most.
When I first started working at the museum, we were actually at our old facility in Wilmette, which was a repurposed bowling alley. It was a good and what we call well-loved museum, in that it was an old, rundown, overused museum. So when I first came on, we were in the planning stages of this new facility that you see in Glenview. And so it was exciting to be part of the planning, talking to parents and talking to kids and saying, what do you like? You know, what are the things you remember from the museum, and what kind of experiences would you like to see at a brand new place? A lot of the things that we had problems with at the old site, like staircase, that just made it very difficult for guests in wheelchairs or even parents with strollers to get up and down to things on the second floor. We were able to create our entire facility all on one level with universal design so everybody can access it the same way.
So Kohl Children's Museum is special to me because I get to see the light in the kids' eyes. I get to see families play together. The museum is built on the principles of universal design so that we get to see all different types of children and families coming and playing together, where especially after the pandemic, we've all been isolated, and now we get to see people coming together again and just seeing kids meet new friends and families gather together just to play and have fun. Yeah, that's my favorite part.
I choose to work with children because I think the way that kids learn is so beautiful, and so much of it is applicable to the way we as adults operate too. And I love setting children up with the foundational skills that they need to be capable human beings later on. And I think being a part of that learning is just really beautiful and exciting.
I remember growing up, and you would make do with what you had, and kids do that. There's an old story about you give a child a new toy and they open it on Christmas and then they play with the box instead of the toy. That's what children do. They layer their imagination onto boxes and rolls and balls, and that's what I did growing up. You built things and created things. So to have an environment where a lot of that base work is done for you, and you have this wealth of materials that you can experiment and explore with, and environments that are designed to promote learning. It's so fulfilling to actually see it happening in real time in a child's face.